Hello and welcome to Crypto Weeklies. In this video, we are going to analyze Microstrategy and its ticker MSTR. It's a stock which is correlated with Bitcoin's price action. They have been starting to buy Bitcoins since about August 2020, and they have almost more than 500,000 of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Right now, you can see the current investment of Microstrategy into Bitcoin on strategy.com. That is, I think, their official announcement related to the holdings that they have. Right now the price of MSTR is at around roughly speaking $400 one MicroStrategy share. The number of Bitcoin they hold is about 5.5 thousand, or little over 500,000 Bitcoin. Their net Bitcoin NAV is at around about 51k, so about 51 to 52k worth of Bitcoin NAV they have per value of share. So that means the MNAV is about multiplier is about 2.26. That means MicroStrategy's Bitcoin holding, or one MicroStrategy Bitcoin, is roughly worth 2.2 Bitcoins on the open market. That is because MicroStrategy trades at a premium. One reason for that premium, if you see the returns that MicroStrategy has had since the bear market of 2022, you can see it's up almost 4,000%, whereas Bitcoin in the same time period, you can see from 2022 bottom till the current price is up by about 900%. So again, outpacing Bitcoin by about 4x in the same time period. That is one reason for this premium to exist. If we look at the retirement model going forward, again we do consider the price of Bitcoin and the risk levels as a factor in making these retirement related videos. Again, none of the content is financial advice. Again, right now the Bitcoin ROI has multiple facets to its analysis. Again, you can see this is how Bitcoin performed throughout the years, but if you look at any 4-year period, let's take 2021 as a example. Starting 2021, this was Bitcoin ROI from year to date at around towards the end of year at about 58% up from the yearly open. 2022, a bear market year where the ROI was negative 65%. 2023, pre-halving year, ROI at around 150%. 2024, halving year of this particular market cycle, year to date ROI at around 109%. 2025, we haven't completed the year so far, but up by about 1.2%. At one point it was up 12% and also down 19%. So again, we are in the middle of the post-halving year, but nonetheless, no 4 years look the same. Again, if you take any 4 years, you will see that there is one bear market that you encounter typically after the post-halving year. So in last bear market was in 2022. So simulating for these kind of returns potentially in future for this particular scenario, growth is taken as an average of 45%. You can see in the non-bear market year, growth for Bitcoin is excess of 100% for most of the years. But conservatively speaking, and also with keeping in the mind that current market cap of Bitcoin is at around $1.8 trillion. So moving that market at 100% or at that pace would be quite hard going forward. So in this scenario for MicroStrategy, the return simulated at 45% growth in the non-bear market, 3 non-bear market years, and 1 bear market year with a decline of 50%, says that if the price of the share or the MicroStrategy stock, one MicroStrategy stock, were to go to $914, that is again confluent with what Bitcoin can do on its USD pair in 2025. This is the Bitcoin price action forecasted. Right now it's at around 90k. You can see 94k, but the 2 standard deviation ceiling for Bitcoin is at around $200. If Bitcoin does a 2x, MicroStrategy in that same environment could easily do a 3x. This is the hypothesis. So 3x from about current price roughly at around $400, text price at around $1,200. This is a slightly conservative estimation at around $900. If price goes that, MicroStrategy stock goes to at around $900 and then has a 50% decline in 2026 and then continues 3 years growth till 2029, the price of one MicroStrategy share, this is again without any stock split, could be at around $1,400. Again, if you exclude the stock split that MicroStrategy did have in the last couple of years, the price is well over $2,000 or sorry, $3,000 right now. But again, this is after the stock split. Again, the hypothesis or the assumption is that there is no more stock split in this for this valuation projection. And again, in 2029, topping at around $1,400. Again, then taking a 50% decline from here. 2023 looking at 2,100 $2,100 for one stock. 2037 essentially a 10x from the current price in roughly 12 years, and at 2040 slightly over 10x of the current price. In the second scenario is if instead of MicroStrategy growing at 45% year over year, if it manages to grow 55% year over year thanks to Bitcoin adoption at 45%, let's say if Bitcoin grows at 45%, stock of MicroStrategy outperforming Bitcoin in bull market takes a higher valuation at about 55%, and if the growth is higher, then the decline can also be higher at around 60% in the the year after the post-halving year, the mid-cycle year, at decline at about $440 in 2029 instead of $1,400. The price could be at around $1,600. In 2033 at around $2,400, and 2037 at roughly speaking $3,600. So in this scenario, the number of MicroStrategy shares required to be a millionaire drop from, again, if 2025 closes at around valuation of MicroStrategy stock closes at around $900, the number of shares needed in that scenario to be a MicroStrategy millionaire is about 1,095. That drops in 2029 to about 700 shares. In 2030, roughly about 500 shares. In 2037, roughly about 300 shares, and in 2040, roughly under 300 shares. So that is the bull case, the uber bull case for MicroStrategy share. Slightly similar, but not quite the same. Fewer number of shares required in the bullish phases and more number required in the bearish phases as well. Although the count for 2029 stock number of shares required 610, 2033 at around 409, in 2037 275, and in 2040 roughly 286. So that's the retirement model for MicroStrategy. If we were to look at the current price and look at if there is any forecast of worth any mention for the remainder of year, this is the base case or the bull case, if you like to call it the base case at the bull case, as the euphoria has never ceased to exist for MicroStrategy. The next 6 months for the stock price could be between $400 and $683, roughly speaking $700, close to that forecast that we had on the retirement model. On the other hand, if there is continued bearish momentum, the price could have a support between $175 and the current price about $322. If we consider the DCA model, which is the dollar cost average model based on the risk level, since MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin, that is in 2020, August of 2020, again per this strategy purchases, you can check over here, this is the year to date purchase, but you can see essentially on the 10th of August of 2020, this is on strategy.com, they made their first purchase of Bitcoin at about roughly 21,000 count of Bitcoin. And that was in 2020 August. So since that, if we were to track the risk levels, we get essentially cooler or cool off places in the market where DCA makes more sense, and opposite is that heated phases of the market. Again, if you get rid of the intermediate risk levels, you could observe that theoretically, again, whenever the risk color codes are at, let's say, less than 20%, to be more realistic than more conservative. Again, this blue dot and the purple dot, that's where DCAing in the market makes the most amount of sense for this model. The opposite is that, again, you can go slightly more risk covers. This purple dots, they are the least risky, and the opposite is that, let's say, the risk levels above 70%. Again, there are no guarantees all the rallies go to that 70% and above, but definitely above 60%, that's where the risks are kind of elevated. In November 2024, the risk at its peak were at about 77%. If let's say there are further instances where the risk go to about more than 50% to 70% target, the price of MicroStrategy per this model could be between about the current price and about $423. That is slightly highly risky. Per the current model, again the regression based fair value is a dropping function. The fair value is at around $300 at this point in time. If the prices were to break along or break forward the $480 resistance, that could flip as a support, and then the shape of the regression function could also change based on the price action. Nonetheless, right now the risk levels are about 50 to 60% as of today. If they were to go to slightly higher valuation at around 80 to 90%, that could take price between $450 and $521. So that's the intermediate peak forecasted by this model. If you were to look at some of the ceilings, the major ceiling right now is coming in around $434. If the price were to meaningfully go above and rally above this dotted red line, that could bode well for the MicroStrategy stock. The opposite of that is if you were to DCA below this green line, again this is where we in the course of the bear market again focus more of our attention on MicroStrategy stock, and again there are no guarantees that prices could go up or down, but again this kind of approach helps identify what is the current risk in the market using regression analysis to help identify whether the risks are at a good juncture or if they represent. So for example, in not too long ago, in February to April of 2025, this model did come up with some of the lowest or second lowest risk levels for MicroStrategy stock purchases, and the opposite is again above 60% risk. That helps identify if there is a good reward for distribution of that stock. So in this particular instance, the machine learning based price target for MicroStrategy in this non-euphoria case for MicroStrategy between $400 and roughly speaking $700, and the retirement related model with this 45% year over year growth says that the price could peak at around $900 in 2025. And with that, I would like to conclude the video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.